Hello, and welcome to Introducing Me. I'm your host, Sarah. I started this podcast to get to know other people and lifestyles while discovering more about myself. Each episode, I will give a new guest a chance to discuss their background, culture, interests, or whatever they want to talk about to help increase all of our own worldviews. Today, I would like to introduce you to Lieutenant Colonel Jason Pike. He is a decorated combat veteran who served 31 years in the United States Army. He has earned more than 30 service awards and badges, serving overseas in 5 countries. And he has authored the book, A Soldier Against All Odds, to share his story. So he'll talk more about that, more about his life, his Army experience. So thank you so much for your service, Jason, and for being here today on the podcast. Why don't you go ahead and tell the audience a little bit more about yourself?
Yes, Sarah, thank you. I'm honored to be on your show. I really am. I'm a very humble guy, and you'll learn that pretty well. But I yeah, The Soldier Against All Odds was a book that I have written, and it is about failures and fiascos and various crazy events. It's not necessarily a blood and guts memoir. It's about life in the military from my end and from what my perspective was. I think that's going to set this memoir a little bit up differently. And so, but yeah, you just described a very good description of my book. And the ironic part about it is, yes, I'm decorated, but I had many, 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 many failures, many screw ups. Some were my fault, and some were not. So, yeah.
So why did you want to write this book about your experiences in the Army?
Because everyone said, how did a dumbass like you do all this? Meaning that I was not an intellectual guy. I still ain't. I work on it, though. I've got 3 college degrees, but I've got a learning disability. I'm a slow learner. I'm like maybe a 486 computer. My brain works. And that everyone was asking, how did you do this? How did you get out of that trouble? How did you get involved in this? And how did this happen? And at the time when all this was, so everyone's asking the same types of questions. If they weren't asking it, they were thinking it. And it was there. So I kind of got lost in my thinking right there. But yes, go on and peg me again on something. But no, that's the reason I wrote it. Yeah.
So what has this learning disability been like for you, and what was schooling and then joining the military like with that by your side?
Well, it was diagnosed by professionals that I had a problem 3 different times, even after I had a college degree, even after I had graduated from college. So it was first diagnosed at Emory University in Atlanta, Georgia. I failed the 1st grade, and it was my worst subjects are English and writing. But I'm an author. Go figure that one out. But that's the darn truth. And so I know we were talking backstage about you talked about a plural or a compound or something. I don't know any of that stuff. I really don't. And no, it really it was not a label of a learn. They just said you've got some issues, you're going to fail the 1st grade, and but we don't have a whole lot of expectations on Jason. And I was not supposed to go to college. I mean, all of your viewers out there, I guarantee you, most of them, there's an entrance test to the Army called the SAT. I can probably guarantee you I made much lower on that score than most of your viewers. I can probably guarantee that. But no, this book could be summed up in just 2 words: is never quit. And that was taught to me by my father. But the book's dedicated to me. I dedicated the book to my father, is what it is. And so he was the one who instilled a lot of the never quit type of things in the story, basically. Yeah.
So then how is it that you ended up with 3 college degrees?
I've got a bachelor's from Clemson University, a master's from Clemson University. So I've got and I got another master's from Colorado State University. That's a good question. I've got a chapter in there called "Where There's a Will, there's an A, as in the letter grade A, and I describe the events of how I went through methodically to try to get things into my thick skull, and just little techniques and things I picked up along the way. And so yeah, that exactly what you're saying. The question you just asked goes back to the reason I wrote the book, and that's just one of many questions. How in the world did you get 3 college degrees? And and so yes, I had a methodical manner described in the chapter of how I went through and was able to learn things differently and with different. I use different skills. One example would be it would be recording like we're recording now, and I would record it and I'd drive to school with a recording. Eating while you were looking at notes, like you use all your senses. I had to use everything. So I would eat or I would drink something because that's a taste, and that's we've got 5 senses, right? So, and I would look at something and I would eat it. I would eat something and I would taste something. Wow. And I would touch it. I'd use senses, different types of skill sets to try to get this thing into my skull. That worked pretty well. But there's other techniques I use though.
And so did you, do further learning at age 18 or like while you were serving or after serving? How did those two things happen?
Yeah, I joined the military when I was 17. I was still in high school. I was a junior in high school when I rose my right hand to defend the country. I went into the National Guard, the reserves, but I nearly got kicked out at the age of 17. Because I couldn't drink the water that was coming through that fire hose. It was just too much. And but no, what happened at the age of 17 is they sent, since I couldn't learn well, I was in basic training, the very basic part, the boot camp. That's where you hear the movies and everybody's screaming and yelling, and you got to do everything. And I wasn't adjusting to that very, very well at all. And so they identified me to kick. So they sent me to a scared straight program. It was a criminal confinement facility with a different level of hell than just the normal army. It was more of a like beat the hell out of this person to get this, either to break them or to make them. It was 1983. It was a Fort Sill, Oklahoma. It was at a criminal confinement facility. I was only there for about 4 hours, I think, but it was hell on wheels. And I come back after that one all beaten up and bloodied, and it didn't break me. It sort of strengthened me a little bit and probably made me a little bit crazy as well. But I did well. I did graduate from basic training, and I went on. And I had to learn how to get around these situations. Learning it took more time. There's just lots of different things I had to do, but that's kind of where it all started. When I come back from that facility, everybody saw a big change in me. But going through hell would probably do that to many people. Yeah.
Right, definitely. So then what was your Army experience like? You were in the service for 31 years. So can you share some of the things you went through, saw, and experienced?
Yeah, 31 years overseas. Well, 31 years in the military, but there was 9 years overseas. I mean, we talked about the college degrees that I have, but I learned much more overseas than I did in any type of college. The food, the people, the culture, the language, just driving it, seeing it, smelling it, and being there. I could identify. I did well overseas. I enjoyed overseas type. That was a huge part. 9 years overseas in various countries, 5 different countries: Canada, El Salvador, twice in El Salvador, Korea 3 different times, and then Afghanistan and Germany. So and those were just the countries that I put in my book. I've been to other countries, but I don't put it in the book. But I've been around the world, and but that's just kind of a synopsis of just various stories and fiascos. I like a lot of these memoirs. This one's set up a little. This is about the emotions of life and just going through the various dips and highs. Mostly they were dips, bad things, but just going through those experiences, I think that's what it sets it up a little differently.
Right. So can you share some of those kind of like cultural moments that you experienced in some of these countries that you served in?
Well, I mean, Korean food is my favorite food. The fermented cabbages and the kimchi's, it's called kimchi. It's a fermented cabbage. If you want the good kimchi, you don't go to your regular grocery store. You go to where the Koreans are at, and so that is something that changed my taste. It changed my taste buds literally. If I go without the kimchi, the fermented cabbage, or the cucumbers, or the turnip greens, if I don't have it, which I normally do have it, but if I go without it, I'm looking for peppers or garlic or onions to modify that. But no, that's just the thing about the taste that changed. Um, just your eyes open wider a little bit, and you see different things, and it's one heck of an experience to. And I'm not talking about going to Mexico and living at the Marriott. So I mean, yeah, you can go to Mexico, you can go to Cancun and live. That's not the culture. I'm talking about when you're living out there with the folks, the local folks, and that's where I'm talking about. You're tasting it, you're living it, you're driving it, you're eating it, and you're there with them. That would be one of them. So one of the experiences that's very hard to describe. I think it's not a vacation, it's where you live for a while. Yeah.
And so then were you typically integrated with the locals, or were you also kind of like on army territory with your fellow soldiers?
I did both. I would purposely go outside and go drink and eat with the locals because that's where I felt very, very, very much at home. Now, I described I had a learning disability and I felt challenged and I felt very different in America where people could pick it up. But when I went overseas, they don't speak. They understand that you're a foreigner, and I just felt very confident. I felt that they didn't. It's not. I felt that I belonged in a place, and that they understand that I was different because I am different. I'm white. I speak English. I have a different. We have different mannerisms. We walk different. We dress different. But they understand that, and they just accepted that. Well, he's a foreigner. Well, he's good with us, and so that like boosted my confidence, and I did really well overseas in various countries and cultures. And no, I one time I got this high level award from the Pentagon. The Pentagon's like this big puzzle palace that's in Washington D.C. That's where all the generals and people. I don't like to go there. It kind of scares me with all those people there. But they gave me this high level award just for just going out with the locals and doing community relations. I went hiking and not biking. I went hiking with them, eating, fishing with them, um, visiting orphanages, and I built up a liaison, a group of friends, and we went out and we did things, and they put pictures in the paper, and they thought it was cool, and they thought, wow, this. I didn't do anything though, but it was a really high level award from the Pentagon, and I felt that I didn't do anything. It's just like and I thought that was pretty cool. I was just out drinking and eating with them and doing what I do naturally, and they want to give me some big award there at the Pentagon. And yeah, I was scared to go to the Pentagon. So I'd rather jump out of a perfectly good airplane than go into the Pentagon because it's just I don't know, it's just a different environment there. But no, that was just one of them. We're going out with the locals and gotten a high level award for that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So were language barriers ever an issue in these different countries?
At the time, we did not have something called Google Translate. So Google Translate is a service it's an online. I didn't have that. Well, what I did was I had to learn to talk slowly, or I could write it down on a sheet of paper and write it down. And especially in Korea, they would understand English. A lot of people can read it, they just can't speak it. And or if you do speak it, you speak it very slowly. Or I got around. Or anybody who's in a transit center, like a bus station or maybe an airport, they're higher educated and they kind of understand the foreigners that come through. I got around. I did. I got around, and I enjoyed getting around. And so that was fun, though. A lot of people look at this as, well, how did you go over here and do this specifically because you don't speak English? I don't know. I got around well. I was creative. Now, like I said, I'm pretty creative now because you have to be if you get the lowest SAT scores. And so I became creative, and I could find ways around that. That spoke to my nature of just being a free thinker, which doesn't always get along in the Army, but I became a free thinker in many ways because I was just kind of moving around the disability. I don't like, shouldn't be called a disability, but it was a problem learner. Yeah.
And so then you mentioned that, being overseas, boosted your confidence. You felt comfortable, you felt good. What was your experience like when you were serving in the States?
Oh, that's where yeah, it was more boredom to me. I just like, oh, well, I'm back in the States. I'm away from all the excitement and things and the various, just more rules and regulations. And I don't know, you're around I don't want to be around the flagpole or the headquarters and things like that. I want to be away from them. I don't want to get in trouble with those guys. But but I did serve honorably. I didn't get thrown out of the military. I've almost gotten thrown out a few times, but I did serve honorably. I just had to. I just preferred. I preferred to, hindsight 2020. I would probably be a foreign area officer, someone who would be a foreign area officer, someone who'd be specialized in another country and live there and be the officer there and the expert. But no, I did fine overall. I mean, the story is there's a lot of hiccups, and I think a lot of people have done it. That's the hard part about you got to tell them your screw ups, and there was many.
And so then, before we even were recording, talking about your title of Lieutenant Colonel, so how did you work your way from, age 17 joining to that ranking?
Yeah, that's again, you're asking the same question that basically everybody asks, and that's how I wrote that's the same type of thing. How did you do this, and how did that happen? Well, when I joined, I didn't really think I was going to stay in for that long. I just wanted a place to belong. I definitely was not college bound. That was told to me. That was proved to me, and they had good logic to think and to expect that I was not going to college. So the military was an option. So at age 17, I just moved up from enlisted, and then I eventually I went to everything was from the bottom. Not only as age 17 is at the bottom as a rank, that's the earliest you can get in, but even my college was at the bottom. I went to a junior college. At that, they could take lame, lazy, or crazy. So how did you get into college? Because you got to have a college degree to get into a senior executive position. So I went from the bottom junior college, where they take about anybody, and then I transferred into a more reputable university. I took my time with my college. I have a chat, so I had a chat. But then if I went through that confinement facility where they almost beat the hell out of me, I can probably stay in a library 13 hours and just look at something and try. It's air conditioned library, and you can order pizza and things like that. And so I thought that I could do when I came out of that basic training, my confidence was built up, and I said, well, I can pretty much do everything. I can pretty much do anything. And I disagreed with the high school counselors and the people who said I couldn't do it because you don't know what the hell I just went through. And so, and I couldn't explain it at the time. I couldn't explain what the hell I went through. I couldn't explain it like I'm doing right now. And so I said, well, I'm going to go against the system. I'm going to college. It might be a junior college, but it was a junior. And then I would just work my way up. And I didn't tell people I was going to be an officer. I decided I was going to be an officer, and I just worked my way slowly, methodically up the ladder, with a lot of various issues along the way. And so whenever time I got into trouble or things of that happened, I would just look at it as just another obstacle, because we talked about the learning disability. There was some in my life, failure and pain were brought to me as a young child. So to me, failure and pain and fiascos were just sort of the territory of life. And so I had osteomyelitis, which was a bone disease when I was 9 years old. So I'm at the age of 57, but my left knee is at the age of probably 49 or so, because it dissolved. It went away and it grew back. But I lied. I told the military No, I'm all good. I'm all good. And back then it was before the internet. And so they said, oh, okay, you're good. I said, yeah. Now, when we're talking about these test scores, the question would be, how in the world, a good question would be, how in the world, how could you join the Army? Because you have to go through an entrance test. An entrance test to the military is called, it's ASFAB. I forgot what it stands for, but that's a good question. I don't know how to answer that question. I don't know how I got in. I really don't. Maybe it was just, I don't know, good old boy system. I don't know what it was. That right there, I wish I could find my entrance test to the military, because I shouldn't have gone in, probably. I don't think I did well on the entrance test, because it sort of mimics the SAT scores, which I know were really bad. And so that is a question I cannot answer. And I think about that every once in a while.
And so did your knee and, this bone disease ever cause you problems throughout your service? Because you did weasel your way in, but then
Mm-hmm.
did it cause problems down the line?
Only a little bit when I ruck march for long hours at a time. But see, I learned that you've got hamstring muscles, you've got your thighs. There's different parts of the muscle of the knees or of the legs. And I became a gym rat. In other words, I kept on working out, and I became I did the leg lifts and the hamstrings, and I did and so I built up the muscles around the knee where it wouldn't affect me. And of course, we're always in the military, we're physical anyway. So, but I would work on that. And it affected me one or two times, but it wasn't anything that was considered a severe disability. And even if it was, I would lie and say but no, it never really was a factor, other than just some minor complications. That's when I walked with heavy packs for long periods of time.
Right. Now, you mentioned some various low points throughout your time serving. Would you be willing to share kind of some of those moments and, maybe like almost getting kicked out to eventually being not kicked out and serving honorably?
Okay, so we talked about one kick out, which was the criminal confinement facility. That's when they almost kicked me out there. I survived. But we'll go to another one. This other one is okay. So there's some kickouts that were my fault, and some were not. Let's go. So I was under a federal investigation for subversion and espionage against the U.S. government, which was totally bogus. Now, that's described in my chapter called "Third Time's a Charm," and I describe it in detail of what happened. But so a federal investigation is nothing good. It's that means there's been rumors that so I didn't walk the walk of a group. You've heard of the term being gaslighted, or maybe there's a term called being thrown under the bus, or maybe you're with a group of people. It could be a bunch of I always think of it as teenage girls, but it could be boys as well, where you're a little different and we want to eject you out of the club. But at the time, which was strange about it, I had a whole lot of awards when this happened, and I had a whole lot of accommodations, and I was a senior person. And well, I pissed some people off. It was just professionally. I disagreed with a lot of things that my job should be and their job should be, but it wasn't taken the correct way, and therefore they wanted to ghostlight me. So I didn't know. It took me. It was the hardest chapter to write because it goes to the bottom. So, so I've done. With the federal investigation of. So there's these hotlines. There's these channels that they have. So you can put things anonymously in there. Like maybe someone's doing sexual deviant behavior. Maybe somebody's stealing things or conducting fraud against the U.S. government. Maybe someone, like they said with me, I'm selling secrets. so they can throw these accusations out there. There was a few. There's other. This chapter, I'm just looking at one example. There were many other things that happened there. But with this example here, it was sent through the Criminal Investigation Division and the Military Intelligence. Maybe Jason's out there doing really bad things against the U.S. government. That's considered subversion. And so I was brought on charges. I went up. I was in South Korea. Third time's a charm. South Korea. I went up there to the hill, on Dragon Hill there, and I met CID and I met MI, CID, Criminal Investigation Division, and Military Intelligence. I was in one room. My big commander was in the other room, and here I am being briefed on the situation at hand and what my options are. And my commander's also being briefed by CID. It was a bad. This is like when you're in big trouble, and I thought, wow, how in the hell? Like, I didn't do a damn thing. I really didn't do anything. But no, do you want to get a lawyer and a defense attorney? I said, yeah, I want to get a defense attorney. He says, well, we believe that you've been, doing things that are bad. Okay, all right. No, this is total crap. This is total bullshit. And it was. But at the time, I took it seriously. It was really bad. Um, and so I got the defense attorney, and they briefed me on the situation, saying, they're just following accusations, and their job is to figure out if you're doing bad things against the U.S. government. And they followed me around. They pooped and snooped on me and things of that nature for some time while I was there, but probably over 2 years, and it was stressful. And for you viewers out there, if someone accuses you of something or they say something in a rumor mill, right? That's hurtful. But when it's officially through channels and you've got serious professional organizations that are out there trying to hound you, that's another situation. So when someone talks about an investigation, like a lot of people think, well, they don't understand what it really means. But it turns people. Well, I don't like the television when they say, this guy's going through an investigation and everything's fine. Well, that's bullshit, because it's not fine. Because a lot of these investigations are just false bullshit, like it was me. You can say things and you can say, well, innuendo and rumor, but I think, and he even told me, the CID guy, when I came out of that briefing room, he knew I was under stress and I wanted to kick some people's ass. And he said, he put his hand on my shoulder and tapped me and says, he tried to give me a hint. He says, try not to let this bother you. And no, this does bother me. How in the hell can it not bother me? And but no, I saw that guy just by accident, just on a post after I had retired. And I told him, I says, what the hell happened with that damn investigation? Why don't no one told me they were sorry and they screwed up? He says, we have to do our jobs when we get information, and I'm glad everything worked out for you. And I was like, damn, why not? But you can ghostlight people or screw them up officially through these hotlines. Call this hotline if you detect somebody who's doing this. And you can play games with those damn hotlines. And that's what they did with me. They just played a damn game. There was nothing there. And so, but it can turn your life upside down. Granted, maybe professionally, I didn't. There's some people I told them my job. This is my job and not. But everybody's different. Everybody has a different perspective. But that doesn't mean that you need to be ghostlighted and try to and get and your reputation goes to hell, and your security clearance is challenged, and you have to go through all this crap because of maybe someone doesn't agree with something, or maybe someone doesn't like you. That's, to me, that was pretty hideous. There were other things in that story I'm not prepared to talk about, but it's in the Third Time's a Charm. That was there. It was ghostlight. When one thing that thing didn't stick, right? They would have another event, and there would be another event. And so in a way, I look at those perpetrators of this as sort of creative, kind of like I would be. Like, how can you get a senior person in the government out? How can you transfer the trash? How can you pass the trash? There's ways to do that. And I didn't know it until it was thrown on me, and these are sort of very mean things that happen sometimes that are not written about too well and not talked about that much.
Right, and definitely challenging and having to go through all of that. So now, why did you end up leaving the military and retiring?
Oh, I had met my 20 years. You can retire at the 20 year. I did more than 20 years, but once you hit 20, that's your magic number. But I was pretty burned out. I had done so that federal investigation was late in the game. There's more to that chapter, but and then my father's death occurred, and then I went to Afghanistan. Now I had been burned out. I had 1, 2, 3 punch in a relatively quick amount of time. The biggest punch was the false allegations of not just a federal investigation, but other things. And then my dad's death. When my dad was dying, I was going to go to Afghanistan. And I was in the process of going to Afghanistan to get a unit over there. I was not in a good mindset. Let's just put it that way. My book is dedicated to my father. And so I went to Afghanistan under less than best mental conditions because of the past. So I was trained for war, but I wasn't trained for federal investigations and false allegations. And I wasn't never trained for my dad's death. I'm a slow processor anyway. And so it hit me pretty well. War, I've been, that's all we do is train for war, and we train for combat and things of that nature. So that was okay. But those two other things had done it. I was walking into a war zone kind of like, almost like my gut was busted. And then once I got out of Afghanistan, I did really well. I did well in war. I was burned, and I said, well, I got to retire. I took one more assignment in Germany before I retired, but I was pretty much burned down.
Yeah, and to go through your dad's death after an intense investigation and then going to war. Now, since retiring, you've obviously written this book, got a lot of good information in it. What else have you been up to since retiring from service?
So when I retired from service, I went on a lot of veterans retreats and little skiing places, skiing and hanging out with veterans. There's a whole lot of activities for disabled veterans, and disabled doesn't mean you're disabled, but you can't work. So, and then I did that for a while, did a lot of activities with them. And then I went to work. Once COVID hit, everybody was locked down and couldn't do anything. And I decided I was going to go back into the military because they wanted a lot of the military officers to come back. But that gate was closed because there were just too many other retired military people wanting to go support the COVID effort and coronavirus. So I looked at the website. I was bored and there was nothing to do. I couldn't even go to the gym or anything. Can't go anywhere. And I said, well, I looked at the website USA Jobs, and I got a job with the Centers for Disease Control out of Atlanta, Georgia, as a teleworker. I said, well, all these people are sitting at home on a remote computer making $80,000 a year. I said, I can do that too. So I applied took me 138 applications, but I got 3 that said yes, and I took the first one. So again, I machine gunned approach to the applications, and you took 138 applications. I made a mistake. I even applied to be a police officer in Greenland by mistake, but I was just shooting them out. I just shooting them out to everybody. Anybody take anybody, and they did. The first one that came through, it was probably over 100 at that time. I just took it. I took the first one, and I just stayed at home, crunched numbers. I was on the Global Rapid Reaction Force for COVID and various other diseases that occur in the United States. And, that kind of got old a little bit. And I said, well, I'm going to get out of here and just publish my book. And that's what I did. I went and got my book. My book had been I'd been working on it for a while, but that's when I'm going to publish my book and go into podcasts. So now I've got my book published and I'm just promoting it. And these crazy stories, it's Audible as well. So if you were to talk to me a year ago, you would not see me talking the way I am now. I did the audio. I'm the author and the narrator of this book. And so my audio took lots and lots of times. Take 10, take 100, take 30. And I talked more last year than I ever did in my entire life, all combined. Now this year might be, but because I'm doing the podcast, but the expression, we're not trained to express ourselves. And I was not at all. And, but I learned how to do that. And even at the age of 56, 57, I learned how to do that. And then I said, well, since I've done all this work, I'll just continue my stories on these podcasts to promote the book. In the future, I don't know. I'm working on a song. I've got. I'm on. There. I'm working on. I'm not a. I'm not. And I'm not a musician. I'm not really a writer or English. I mean, I'm an author, but I'm not a singer. But I got a website where someone can help me create a song about my book. So I don't know. There's all these little ideas, creativity. In the Army, you don't get too much creativity. You do as you're told. But now I'm working on a different level of creativity, and so that's kind of what I've done after retirement and kind of what I'm thinking about in the future.
And are you still connected with other veterans and those sort of things that you were doing right after retirement?
Yeah, I just got back from Colorado. The Disabled American Veterans, they sponsor the Winter Sports Clinic in Aspen, Colorado. And I was there with the veterans skiing. You can ski, you can snowmobile, you can go fishing for trout. There's a lot of various events you got. That's considered therapy, and it's a part of your medical. It's a to get outdoors and do things, and that's so they support the veterans with that. And I'm a sponsor. I'm a philanthropist as well. I give a lot to these organizations, various colleges, and various. I did well financially, and I do give a lot. I gave to the Disabled American Veterans. I was a sponsor there, and other places I do. And I follow them, and whenever they want to go out and do something, I'm usually going with them as well. As long as I got a Wi-Fi set up, because I have a pretty heavy podcasting schedule going on. So, but yeah, that's kind of I still connect with them and keep up with them. Yeah, it's fun. Fun.
Yeah. And so you mentioned kind of the struggles with narrating the book, which would have been done after the book was written. And you've talked about how English was, not the best in grade school. So what was the writing process like for you and getting everything into this book?
Yes, that's a good question. I got a loaded answer for that one. So the book, in my pages, you could probably read it for free because I think it's in Kindle. I think the first few pages, the testimony of my book, this book, the process of the book nearly killed me because it's not only that I'm, you know, English is my worst subject. It's not that, as well as it's confident. When you see a life that's written down, and if you're honest with yourself, and you see all the mistakes and the screw ups and the failures and the fiascos, and when you see this formed into a story, and then you're thinking, well, do I really want to put this out there? It sort of breaks you up. It sort of I can't describe the emotions. It flashbacks and just crazy. Like, how in the world can I get through this? This is a hard struggle. I went into the hospital. I nearly died. It was in February 2021, and it wasn't because of it was not because of the COVID that was going around. It was because of the damn book. And what happened was I was sitting for long hours, not normally exercising like I used to. And I was sitting and I was stressing, having flashbacks, and that caused blood clots. It went through blood clots were in my lungs and my legs. I don't know why it didn't go to my brain and kill me, but I was scheduled to die. I went to the ICU, the intensive care unit. And at the time they kept asking me, "Are you a smoker? Are you a smoker?" I kept answering the same question. No. Everyone would ask, "No, I'm not. I'm not. I'm not." And so at the time that I don't, well, okay, well, well, they're there, and you're pretty the obituary, and then my end of life things like where the cemetery, the VA cemetery, going to be. We pretty much knew that it was going to be the end, and because of the process of this book and how it affected me. But what happened was, and I surprised again. You asked the question, how did you? The doctors didn't understand. So I came back to life. In other words, my body reacted to the blood thinners and to it was heparin blood thinners. I also got pneumonia. I got pneumonia as well there. So I had a triple whammy. I had blood clots. I had pneumonia, and that's not usually a good thing. Just having pneumonia, but the antibiotics worked, and they moved me out of the ICU and went to the lower level. And but no, yeah, and it was because of the damn book. But again, it goes back, and I told my ghostwriter during this process, I was still able to think. I had oxygen on me, and I told my ghostwriter, get this damn book published because this damn thing's almost killed me. And I says, I want you to continue. And but that never happened. And he says, he says, Ma, it's all right. I said, it's all right. It's all right. So just get the damn thing. If the book is going to kill me, I want it to be published. You got to let me know that before I die. But that didn't happen. It didn't happen. And but no, the process was hell. Put it that way. So that's the process was hell. I don't know if I would do it again. I don't know if I would do this again. But since it's done, I'm doing much better on these podcasts than I did writing the book and almost getting killed by the book. That was just one event in the book that was very serious. I got written down. I did have anxiety attacks, which I consider an anxiety attack nothing compared to the going into the ICU and stuff like that. So yeah.
Right. Now, would you be willing to share a little bit about what it was like working with a ghostwriter?
Okay, so yeah, that's cool. And so ghostwriter, I can tell you the whole process of how I did everything. I have no problem with that. But so I had a story. So what I did is I went into a website called Upwork. Upwork is a website for online activity. It could be you want to hire somebody for this or that, resumes or spreadsheets. And I just started shopping around on Upwork, the website. And, if I'm going to, there's a lot of authors that were very interested in my memoir when I put the description out there. And so I had to go through a bidding process and, find out who would be good, because you're going to unload your entire crazy life on someone who's that's a very important. You're going to unload everything on that. So there's a lot of female writers that were out there I talked to, but I'm going to be talking about a lot of dude stuff, a lot of guy stuff. And I don't, so I felt comfortable with someone who'd lived overseas, someone who was a guy, and someone, I don't know. Again, I'm not a writer. I just walking off in the dark blue, just like I'm doing this podcasting. I didn't really know what the hell I was doing. I just wanted to do it. And that's how I found the ghostwriter. And somebody who's a storyteller. I think even if you could write, I think you ought to have somebody help you out with it, because if you've lived a storied life, it's going to be emotional, and it really would be have someone that's an objective person to take another look at this thing. So that's the process of getting the ghostwriter, and then having that ghostwriter try to understand your culture, where you came from, and break down the language and the lingo of wherever you're at to someone. Our goal was to put it into the hands of someone who never been in the military, never maybe even lived in the South, in the Southern United States. And we wanted it in a very simple storytelling way, as if you're sitting on a porch and just talking, or in a bar talking to your loved one or someone who's close to you. That's how we put it together.
Yeah. And I think, kind of that process of figuring out who to have, being that primary writer makes sense, and kind of how you were going to have to be vulnerable and sharing those details. Now, was it a process then when did you end up kind of reading through it and making suggestions and changing things like that, in the opposite sort of way that an editor would do?
Yes, we did. Yeah, we did that. That was, it's just, again, it's just so hard to look. Even to this day, for me to look at some of this stuff is really hard for me. That was hard. So when the ghostwriter says, well, what do you think about this chapter? Can you read through it? To me, that was a Herculean task, even though it was my life. For me to just, and it was written, and it was just a hard task to do. I got some other people to help me out as well. I don't have just a ghostwriter, but I had a nephew that helped me out. And so, yeah, it was difficult. I'm going to tell you what helped my book. If you're a writer out there, I'm going to tell you what helped my book. So after it was considered done about last year, well, we had the manuscript done. It was pretty much ready for publication, but I had the bright idea, the dumb idea, or whatever, to do an audiobook. Someone said, "Hey, you ought to do an audiobook. It'll give you credibility." And I really wanted credibility. I wanted to know that this is coming from the horse's mouth as well as the writing. And I said, "Well, I'll do an audiobook." I've never done an audiobook before. I don't know anything about audiobooks. I never knew how to hire a writer. So, well, my ghostwriter, he happened to have done audiobooks. He says, "Well, let's get on this system called Audacity, and you will read into it, and you'll send me over these files, and you will, just." And when I went through the manuscript, reading through it, that was, I considered done. All this other crap popped, all these other stories and stuff popped into my mind. And I said, "I forgot about this." He says, "When that happens to you, just unload into it, and I'm going to adjust the manuscript that we thought was done." So when I started reading through it, I started thinking, "Oh my God, over here. Oh my God, over there." And he says, "Just when that happens, just go into it, just free flow it out of your mouth. I'm going to capture it, and I'll adjust the manuscript." I said, "Damn." And that was something we just did. I don't know if it's in, he says, I don't know. I'm not a writer, but that's just something that happened with me. And so we got even more stories and crazy stuff that added to the themes of the story, which was survival, inspiration, and persistence, and just doing crazy things. And so that helped make the story even better by going through the audiobook, which, so by going through the audiobook, it added to a lot of the material. And it was a hell of a, it was something else that we both didn't know that was going to happen. That just popped in there.
Yeah, it's a true testimony to the wanting it to come, from you, from the horse's mouth, to just have that free flowing work like that. Now, before I start to wrap things up, is there anything else you would like to share with the listeners today?
Oh, you can, the best thing, the most honorable thing for me is just to have a simple review. Heard his book, heard about it. You don't have to have to read it. Just put a review out there on Amazon, or go to jasonpike.org, and just give me a good thumbs up anywhere, good review or whatever, or 5-star me. That just helps me out because, I'm on podcast now, and I don't, they tell me that I need reviews. I guess these days everybody needs reviews. That's about it. Really, just go there and take a look at it, or not, or recommend it to someone else. And and that's okay. You can look at these podcasts, and you can get inspiration and stories from that. But that's basically, I've got a lot of stories. I could really talk on so many different things, but you've got a whole lot already. Yeah.
Great. And I'll make sure, of course, to leave your website in the description of this episode. Now, at the end of all my episodes, I do ask my guests a random question that doesn't have to do with anything we've talked about. So my question for you today is, what cartoon character would you like to hang out with?
It's a cartoon character. Oh, let's see here. That's a good one. Cartoon character. It's been a while since I've seen cartoons. I've always enjoyed Bugs Bunny, just the Bugs Bunny, the rabbit, running around and doing crazy things, and that would be the Bugs Bunny rabbit. Yeah, that's and I just enjoyed that show when I was a kid. Yeah.
All right, that brings this episode to a close. As I mentioned, I will be leaving Jason's website in the description of this episode. Along with that will be a link directly to his book on Amazon if you'd like to go check it out or leave a review. And I'll also be leaving some social media links for Jason. He is on LinkedIn and Facebook, so feel free to go connect with him there. And of course, if you would like to connect with the podcast, our website is in the description as well. It brings you to all of our social media. We're on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. So I always appreciate getting follows on those pages. So feel free to connect with me. And if you'd like to be a guest on the show and share your own story, my email is there as well. So feel free to reach out. And if you'd like to support the podcast monetarily, there is a link to do that as well. So thank you so much, Jason, for spending time with me today, and to my listeners for taking the time out of your day to hear a new story. Until next time, bye.
Bye, Sarah.